Hi everyone and welcome to another reading vlog. It is currently Thursday and my plan is for this to be a weekend vlog. Hopefully I can stick to that, but I thought I would start the vlog by talking through my reading plans for this weekend. So I think the first book that I'm going to pick up tonight, hopefully, is Love Theoretically by Hazelwood, which I am nervous about, but I'm also excited. I really enjoyed The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood, but I hated Love on the Brain, so this one could go either way, but I'm hoping I can read this weekend because I usually read Hazelwood's books fairly quickly. I'm also currently listening to Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier, which is a thriller. Not sure how I feel about it at the moment. It's not quite what I was expecting, but that might actually be a good thing. So yeah, those are the two books that I definitely want to finish this weekend. Then if I have time, I'm also going to pick up another book. But in terms of non-reading plans, I'm also going out for afternoon tea on Saturday with my mum and my sisters. Basically, I was away for my mum's birthday a few weeks ago, and this is kind of a birthday treat for her. So that's on Saturday, and then Sunday I have no plans. So it's possibly going to be another day of reading. But yeah, I thought I would film this weekend. Sorry if I just, I think I just shook the camera. I am struggling to get my words out today. But yeah, I am going to go for a walk and listen to some more of my audiobook. And then I will catch up with you tomorrow, hopefully, with some reading updates for Love Theoretically. Good evening. So it's now Friday and I don't know what to do this evening because I could listen to my audiobook while doing other stuff, or I could carry on with Love Theoretically, which I started on my Kindle last night. I'm currently around a third of the way through and I'm liking it so far. I feel like I've enjoyed the beginning of this more than I enjoyed the beginning of Love on the Brain, so that's a good sign. I also forgot to mention that I actually got an arc of this through NetGalley ages ago, but I didn't get around to reading it before release day, so I'm obviously picking it up now. But yeah, like I said, I started this last night. This is basically following a main character called Elsie, who's a physicist, and she, since finishing grad school, has struggled to find a decent paying job. So to supplement her income, she works as a fake girlfriend. So she uses this app that matches her up with guys who need someone to pretend to be their girlfriend for like family events and things like that. She's not meant to fake date these guys more than once. However, she has this favourite client who she's actually come to really like as a friend. So she's actually been out with him a few times and she's met his entire family. This guy's name is Greg and he has an older brother called Jack who has always been a little bit standoffish with Elsie, and Elsie assumes that it's because he doesn't like her, but I think the opposite is actually true. The drama really starts when Elsie goes for this job interview and finds out that Jack is one of the people who's interviewing her. So it's a really fun setup so far because obviously Jack and Elsie are distrustful of each other. Like, he thinks that she's stringing along his brother and that she's been lying to him. She doesn't want to tell him what's actually happening because she doesn't want to break her client's confidence. So Hazelwood writes a very particular type of main character. They are usually, well, they're always women who work in STEM, and they might be academically smart, but they are completely clueless when it comes to everything else, so it can be frustrating to read about, but I think I do like Elsie. I think there's potential for her to go through some character development. She's a real people pleaser at the moment, and she actually talks about this like in her internal monologue. She talks about how whenever she meets someone, she assesses what kind of person they want her to be, and then she changes her personality based on that. that. It makes her very good at her job as a fake girlfriend. However, Jack sees right through this facade, and I think this book is going to be about our main character learning to be her authentic self, and I do like the sound of that, if that's what's actually gonna happen. But yeah, I also really love the chemistry between Elsie and Jack. I think they have really great banter, and there's just something very warm about Ali Hazelwood's writing, so I am very excited to carry on reading this. I think I am going to read some more of this evening. I am also currently around halfway through Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. I listened to some more earlier while I was at the gym, and this is, like I said earlier, this is a thriller. And I don't think the synopsis for this actually explains the full story around what this book is actually about. So at the beginning, we're introduced to this main character called Paris, who has just been accused of her husband's murder. So she's around 30 years younger than her husband, and she has always avoided the press because she actually used to have a different identity, and she's been running away from her past. So now that this case is in the public eye, she's worried that someone is going to recognise her. That's the first part of the book, but then the rest of the book so far, up until the halfway point, has been following this guy who is making a podcast about a girl who passed away around 15 years ago, I think. This girl was killed in a house fire, and this podcast host actually knew this girl as well. They were friends. So that's basically what the book is about. I was a little bit excited when I heard that this had a podcast element, because I thought it was going to be full cast audio, and it's not. I mean, the narrator is doing a great job. I have read a few other Jennifer Hillier books, and I do tend to find that they work well as audiobooks. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but there's just something about the writing style that lends itself really well to audio. So I am finding this interesting. However, I feel like I've worked out the entire plot of this book by the halfway point. I might be wrong, and it might be that it's feeding us red herrings, or it's trying to lead us down one path when actually something else is going on. But yeah, I'm going to be disappointed if I have guessed everything, but it's still fine to listen to, so I'm going to continue with this as well. I am hoping to finish it by the end of the weekend. How much have I got left? So I've got 6 hours left on regular speed, but I'm listening at 2 times speed, so I should have it finished in around 3 hours. I am gonna head out and pick up some dinner. So I was gonna order pizza tonight because my partner's away tonight, but I ordered Subway for my lunch, and I don't want to order takeaway twice in one day. So I'm gonna go and buy a pizza from the supermarket instead, and then I'm gonna get home, cook it, and settle down for a cozy reading evening.
If we could run it, if we could run it back, and do you wonder if we could run it back, if we could run it.
So I have been watching sprints on Aoife's channel for the past few hours, and I've managed to make it to the halfway point of Love Theoretically, and I'm really liking it. I think I'm becoming a little bit obsessed, and the reason is the love interest, Jack. So when I read Love on the Brain, the love interest in that was called Levi, I think, or Levi, and he didn't really do it for me, but Jack in Love Theoretically, I think he's my favourite love interest in an Ali Hazel book so far. There was a point earlier where he turned to the main character, this isn't a spoiler or anything, but he turned to the main character and said something like, "Seriously, what happened to you? And it just made me melt, and yeah, I'm becoming obsessed, which I wasn't expecting to happen. Obviously, I thought I would like this book, but I wasn't expecting to like it more than The Love Hypothesis, which is how I'm feeling right now. I'm really tempted to stay up and finish this tonight. I don't know though, it's just gone 9 o'clock, so I could finish it this evening. I don't think I want to do anything else tonight. I was going to watch BookTube for a little while, but no, I think I am going to stay awake and watch and read Love Theoretically, because I love this so much and I think this could be a 5 stars. In terms of representation, this has a sexual rep, which I think is the case with all of Ali Hazelwood's books, or at least of the ones that I've read, and it also has diabetes rep, which I don't think I've read in a book before, so that's been really interesting. So I stayed up until 1 a.m. last night finishing Love Theoretically because I was obsessed. Even when it got to around midnight and I could feel my eyelids starting to get heavy, I could not put this book down, and it was worth it in the end because I'm giving it 5 stars, and this is my favourite book that I've read by Ali Hazelwood so far. Everyone talks about how Ali Hazelwood books feel very similar. She has a very specific formula that she likes to use, and it works sometimes. I've seen a few reviews for Love Theoretically where people have talked about how they found the characters a little bit bland, but I think that's actually why I preferred it, because in Love on the Brain, the characters' personalities, especially the main character's personality, was very over-exaggerated, and that frustrated me quite a bit. I mean, in the first 2 Ali Hazelwood books that I read, there's a lot of miscommunication, and there's a lot of the main character refusing to even entertain the idea that the love interest might be interested in them. And yes, there was a little bit of that in Love Theoretically, but not to the same extent. Did I find it frustrating that Elsie acts like a complete doormat for most of the book? Yes, it was a little frustrating. However, I think that the chemistry between the characters is what carried me through. So even though I did have a few little issues with the book, it didn't affect my overall enjoyment. Although this is a slower burn, there are a few steamier scenes, and I really liked those scenes in this book. I felt like they were actually relevant and they were there to progress the relationship and show the connection between the 2 main characters rather than just being there for the sake of it. And yeah, I really appreciated that. Like, I am someone who does like a little bit of steam in my adult romances. However, I don't want them to feel like they've been included just because. One of my favourite romance books of the year, and I'm glad that I finally picked this up because I feel like my faith in Ali Hazelwood has been restored. I feel like Love on the Brain was just a blip, and now I'm gonna like all of her future books, we hope. But I now have a dilemma because I'm still listening to Things We Do in the Dark. Ooh, I've got around 2 hours left, so I do want to try and finish this. I'm not heading out until around 1:30. So what I might do is turn on sprints again and listen to this while I do some stuff around the house. That's my alarm going off. Well, that was a chaotic ending to this update. I will let you know once I finish Things We Do in the Dark, and then I don't know if I want to read a physical book alongside of it. I'm starting a buddy read on Monday, so whatever I pick up today, I ideally need to finish tomorrow. I will catch up with you possibly this evening once I'm back from afternoon tea, and I'll let you know what I actually decide to do. Okay, I think I've decided what I want to do because I remembered I bought this book last week, which is basically a new knitting pattern book, and I haven't knitted in ages, so So I think I'm going to listen to my audiobook and make a cat. Let's see if I can show you what the cat looks like. There it is. I'm going to make one of these cats because I was looking through the wall that I have and I've only got white, grey and like a few other really, really bright colours because the last thing I made was a blanket. So I need to get some more of these kind of colours. But yeah, I'm going to make a cat and I'm going to listen to my audiobook and hopefully it's going to be a good time.
It's hard when you keep close. Rewind with my eyes closed. I need a breather. Get lost in the B-roll. Let all the window to learn how the world goes. We didn't know how to move on. If we could run it. If we could run it back, and do you wonder if we could run it back? If we could run it, if we could run it back, and do you wonder if we could run it? The things I didn't know.
I have just got home from afternoon tea, which was really nice, by the way, and I'm glad because I organised it and I've never been there before, so it's always a bit of a risk. But yeah, it was really nice. They did a separate vegan tea as well for my sister because she's vegan, and yeah, there was loads. I'm actually really full now. But yeah, on my way home, I ended up finishing Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier, and I think I'm going to give this 3 stars. It wasn't super predictable, like there was some stuff that I worked out quite early, but then there were a few surprises as well towards the end. There was also something that I predicted that didn't end up happening, so yeah, that was kind of fun, I guess. And the thing is, I know what to expect from Jennifer Hillier's thrillers because I've read quite a few of her books now, and they are always very dark, like not quite Karen Slaughter level of darkness, but her thrillers always have very dark topics and they're always more character driven, which is probably why I prefer listening to them on audio. Content warnings for child abuse in this one in particular, but yeah, it was a fine reading experience, and I know that 3 stars is kind of a neutral rating, but I will continue to pick up Jennifer Hillier's books because I know that I enjoy them in the moment, even though I don't think about them for much after I've finished them. I now have a decision to make because I want to carry on knitting this evening, but I don't know what I want to listen to, so I'm going to have a little look on Scribd and maybe we can decide together. So at some point this month I do need to get round to City of Dragons by Robin Hobb, which is the 3rd book in the Rainwild Chronicles, but I don't think I'm in the mood for it right now. The audiobook is actually only 12 hours long. I think this is one of the shortest Robin Hobb books, but I don't think I'm in the mood for this at the moment. Then I also have a few thrillers saved on Scribd. I've got The Kindworth Killing by Peter Swanson, which I've heard amazing things about. Whenever I've asked for thriller recommendations for books that have twists that you might not see come in, this is a book that always gets mentioned, so that's a possibility. I also have The Liar's Girl by Catherine Ryan Howard saved, which I think is one of her earlier books. I also have this on my Kindle, so I could alternate between the two. And then yeah, I've got a lot of thrillers and horrors saved on Scribd. I'm just not sure what I'm in the mood for. Maybe I will start The Kindworth Killing because I feel like it might be a quick read, and if I can listen to it on 2 times speed, then I'll finish it by tomorrow, I reckon, because I can listen to it for a few hours this evening. Then I can also listen to it at the gym tomorrow, or if I go for a run in the morning. So yeah, I think I am gonna make a start on this tonight. From what I remember, I think this is loosely inspired by Strangers on a Train, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, and it follows a guy called Ted who meets this stranger called Lily at the airport after his flight is delayed, and he starts confessing his deepest, darkest secrets, including his wife's infidelity and how he wishes she were dead. Then the stranger offers to help him carry out this task. So yeah, very excited to finally be picking this up. I will check in with you once I've made a start on it, but yeah, hopefully the audiobook for this is good. I was going to see if my library had it and I was going to read it physically, but I'm okay with listening to it on audio. I actually find sometimes that I prefer thrillers on audio, so yeah, we'll see what I think of this one. I forgot to do an in update earlier when I last spoke to you, but I have now finished the 2 side pieces of the cat, so I think these get stitched together, and then there's another little bit that attaches at the bottom to make it more 3D. But yeah, it's been a really easy pattern to follow so far, which is always good. I just have the head, the arms, the legs, the tail and the ears to go, so yeah, really happy with how much progress I've made with this today, and I have also made good progress with The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. I started this a couple of hours ago and I'm already 28% of the way through. This has been exactly what I was expecting so far. We're following 2 main characters, so they meet at an airport and get chatting about life and they make a pact to kill this guy's wife, and that's basically all that's happened so far. I mean, there has been more that's happened. We're getting to know the characters and their backstories, and we're seeing their relationships with other people that I think are going to be involved in this story. But yeah, it's a perfectly fine audiobook. There's 2 narrators as well, doing the 2 different perspectives, which I really like. So I am hoping to read some more of this evening, but my partner is due back within the next half hour, so I should probably be sociable for a little bit and not just sit and listen to my audiobook. But yeah, I am really happy with how much progress I've made on my audiobook and my knitting so far this evening. Good morning, it is now Sunday and I feel like my arm is gonna feel achy quite quickly. I have been trying to find somewhere to film this morning where the lighting isn't awful, and this is the best that we can do. So hi, it's now Sunday morning, like I said, and I am halfway through The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. Really enjoying it now. The first half was just okay. It was basically introducing us to the characters and building things up slowly, and we were meandering along, but I was still intrigued because these characters are unhinged and kind of toxic, and it was really entertaining. But now that we're into part 2, I'm starting to get the feeling that this is going to be really unpredictable and anything can happen. Considering that this came out around 8 years ago, it's not as predictable as I was expecting. Like, I have read a lot of thrillers, so sometimes I find that older thrillers are more predictable because they follow patterns that were common back then. But yeah, I'm not finding that at all, so really excited to carry on reading this. I'm going to listen to some more while I go for my run this morning, and then yeah, I'm going to spend the rest of the day knitting. I still have half a cat to make. I don't know if I'm going to finish that today, but I'm going to try and make as much progress as I can. So it's Sunday evening and I thought I would show you the progress that I've made on my little cat. So these are the 2 body pieces that get sewn together on this base, and then I've made a little tail which looked really thick. That's the word I was looking for. It looked a bit too thick to match the photo, but I think it ends up being rolled up like this and then it attaches on the back. And then I've also made the face, which again at first I thought was a little bit big, but it attaches along the seam and then gets sewn on the top. So I only have the 2 ears and the arms and legs left to make. I don't think I'm going to do that this evening, but it's actually starting to look like a deconstructed cat, so that's good. Hi everyone, so it's now Monday and I thought I should pop in and wrap up this vlog because it's no longer the weekend and this is going to stay a weekend vlog. I finished 3 books this weekend and I don't quite know how that happened, but I did end up finishing The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson yesterday, and I'm giving this a solid 4 stars. I was really surprised by how much I liked this actually. There were so many twists, but it never felt like it was going too far. Like, it was dramatic, but it didn't feel over dramatic. I think it's because the tone was very casual and nonchalant. So you're introduced to these characters at the beginning of the book and they strike up a conversation, obviously, about killing this guy's wife, and it's done in such a casual way that you just kind of have to roll with it and just accept that the characters are motivated to do this. It was still far-fetched, but I think just the way that it was written, it was very plot driven and it felt like a movie in some ways. So yeah, it really worked for me. I thought it was really clever, and the ending, like the last page, I guess, even though I was listening to the audiobook, like the last page was really good. Was not expecting that. I don't know yet whether I want to pick up the sequel. Let me know if you've read it and if you think it's worth reading, because I did think that the ending to this was perfect, so I don't know how I feel about revisiting these characters, although I have seen which character the sequel follows, and I think I'm more on board with following that character than other characters. The only small criticism that I have is that the writing made me feel like this was written for the male gaze, and it was mostly certain descriptions and certain thoughts that characters were having. It just felt unnecessary to me. I managed to ignore it for the most part, but yeah, it is just something that I wanted to mention. I would recommend this though if you like a good revenge thriller. I thought this was done really well. Would really recommend the audiobook as well. There's different narrators doing the different voices, and I thought that worked really well, especially because this is such a plot-driven book. I think reading it physically, I possibly would have struggled to distinguish between the characters, and someone is phoning me. Hello, I'm back. So I can't even remember what I was saying, but yeah. 4 stars for The Kind Worth Killing, and that does bring me to the end of this reading vlog, so thanks for watching. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye!